We're live. Woo. Amazing. Fantastic. Wow. We're live. Woo.
We put our heart into celebrating moms. 1-800-FLOWERS for mom with
Fucking ads. Okay, that should be good. Okay, so this is going to be BT16 set review. Gonna go through every card in the set and rank it 1 through 4. So a 1 means the card is mid, and a 4 means the card is super good, probably meta defining, and you should definitely be on the lookout for it. So let's go ahead and get started with the eggs, of course, which is where Digimon card.dev starts off at. So let's go just in order, I guess. Poromon. When attacking, if this Digimon has 2 or more colors, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 2000 DP or less. This seems really bad. I guess this is technically for the Valkyremon deck, but that's not really its own deck. You kind of just play Valk Ace as a tech in other yellow decks, so this is a 1 for me. Demi Vmon, while this Digimon has 2 or more colors, it gets plus 1000. This is a 3. You definitely play this in Imperial. This is like the go-to egg for Imperial, because when you're at your level 6 rank, you're going to get plus 1000, and that's super good. What else can you play Demi V in? I guess it's really only relevant for Imperial right now, but overall it's a good effect. Plus 1000 all turns if you're 2 or more colors. Upamon, opponent's turn, while this Digimon has 2 or more colors, it gains blocker. This one is not as relevant. I'm going to give it a 2, even though it's still a pretty good effect. I think overall, you'll probably see this in people trying to cook with a Patamon, Shakomon, Armadillomon DNA deck, or you might see it in Mastermon builds too. Minomon. All turns, when this Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon in battle, if this Digimon has 2 or more colors, gain 1 memory. I think this is probably almost always worse than the Demi V. Gaining 1 memory is nice, but in Imperial, you're not really suspending and swinging over things unless you're Wormmon base, which I guess makes sense since this is the Minomon. But the Wormmon base is worse than the Vmon base, so I don't think you ever actually go for that unless you're trying to cook something weird. So that's gonna I'll give it a 2 because it has potential. It has potential, in the Wormmon base you can cook with that, so we'll leave it at that. Dorimon. All turns, when another Digimon with blocker is deleted, gain 1 memory. This seems just really bad. I think you always just play the other Dorimon if you're trying to play Alphamon. Cupimon, on deletion, by trashing 1 card in your hand, gain 1 memory. Has the same problem every other purple egg in this game has, is that you're going to have to evaluate it against Demi-Meramon, and I don't think this is ever replacing Demi-Mera. Moving on to the level 3s, starting off with Hawkmon. It is a red-green Digimon that digivolves for 1 over yellow or green, so this is going to be kind of a consistent theme in some of the rookies in this set, or even some of the level 4s too, where the color of the card is different from the colors it digivolves over, which is a new thing Bandai is doing, I guess, to balance out what decks some of these cards can go in. You can digivolve over Poromon for cost 0. I don't know if that ever comes up because I don't think there's any good Poromons. Like we just talked about how this one is just not good. So this Hawkmon is your turn. When one of your other Digimon is played or digivolves, that Digimon is yellow or has the free trait, gain 1 memory. There are a couple cards like this in this set. Again, going with the DNA Adventure 2 theme of the set. It's a good effect. the problem is that it's reliant on how strong the rest of the deck is, and the Hawkmon, Gatomon, Sylphimon DNA deck is just not it, unfortunately. So Hawkmon, I think, is going to be a bad card, and the when attacking inheritable, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon doesn't really come up ever, in my opinion. At least, I mean, I guess if you're playing this deck, it would come up, but you're not playing this deck. So Hawkmon is a 1. Aquilamon digivolves over Hawkmon for 2, or digivolves over a green or yellow level Digimon for 3 cost, level 3. Has jamming and on play, and when digivolving, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 3000 DP or less. Actually not a bad effect in a vacuum. I can see this card doing work like in a sealed pre-release format, but for actual constructed, again, the Hawkmons you can play are just not there, I think. Like, you have this Hawkmon, you have the movie Hawkmon, there's the old Hawkmon from BT8, I think is a searcher. I think there's like vanilla Hawkmons. Yeah, I mean, I guess you digivolve this. In theory, you would be digivolving this over Salamons too, so I don't know. It doesn't seem that good to me. And then the inheritable is, once again, when attacking, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. I'm just not sold on the Sylphimon DNA deck, so I'm gonna have to put all these at a 1. Actually, let's full screen this before I forget. Oops, don't need to do that. Lynxmon. Digivolves from Gatomon for 0 cost. Otherwise, digivolves over a red or yellow level 3 for 3 memory. Raid, Armor Purge. That's actually not a bad combo. You can trade into other level 4s and then just Armor Purge away. When digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3000 DP for the turn. So in theory, you have about 8000 DP worth of range when you're swinging with this guy with Raid. Very strong tempo card. I do, once again, like the Aquilamon, see this being cool in a sealed format, so pre-release, but for constructed, I think you're kind of limited in what you're really doing in a Gatomon build, Gatomon DNA build that isn't Mastamon. So it's a little better than the Aquilamon. At least it digivolves over its own colors. I'll give it a 2. Also, being able to go over Gato for 0 can sometimes come up too. So yeah. Moving on to Hellugarmon, the first of the new Lugamon support that's in the set. Digivolve over level 4 with SOC trait, cost 3. Otherwise, digivolve over a purple or red level 4 for 4 memory. That never comes up because you're pretty much only playing this in the Lugamon deck. So you're digivolving for 3 over SOC trait. Retaliation, end of opponent's turn. By deleting this Digimon, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest DP. On deletion, you may play one Lugamon or AG from your trash without paying the cost. Okay, so this immediately off the bat seems worse than the old Hellugarmon, and I don't think you would ever play it in place of the new Soul Lugarmon or the old Soul Lugarmon. So I don't know if this card actually has space in the deck. On its own, just reading it, it's not bad effect. Having retaliation is good, and then on deletion, you can float into a Luga or an AG. I'm gonna give it a 2. I don't know if people actually play this in the Lugamon deck. Garudamon X. So digivolve over Garudamon for 0. Otherwise, digivolve over a red level 4 for 3 memory. Standard stuff. On play, when digivolving, return 1 Digimon card from your trash to the hand. Then, if Garuda or X Antimody is in the Digimon's Digivolution cards, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with DP less than or equal to this Digimon's DP. I think this is a super good effect because you can proc your Sora, you can extend over Garudamon, especially Garudamon Ace, and then also it has when red Digimon card is returned from your trash hand, one of your Digimon gains Rush for the turn. So in theory, you can, I believe, order your effects so you bounce back, you return Digimon from your trash to your hand, activate Sora effect, bounce Sora back to your hand, play a bird, and then give that bird Rush with the Garuda X is, I believe, the go-to. Let's get rid of this ad. Go-to combo. Seems really good. Helps extend the bird deck and what it wants to do. I think I'm gonna give this a. This is probably a 3. I'm gonna rank this card as 3. Strong card. All right, moving on to Sylphimon. It's a DNA with a red level 4, yellow level 4. Has partition. So this is the first partition card we're coming across. So the partition effect is pretty cool float effect, which basically says that if you have both of the specified colors in your Digivolution sources, so you have to have both. So in this case, it's partition level 4 red and level 4 yellow. So you need one level 4 red Digimon and one level 4 yellow Digimon. It has to be 2 separate cards. So you can't have one dual color card count for partition. You have to have 2 cards. And then if you would be deleted or leave the battle area by an effect, basically the only way you can't partition is if you get deleted in battle or by your own effects. Then you can play those 2 cards out from your sources. So it's a pretty good float effect. You can split back up your DNA Digimon. When Digivolving, if DNA Digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 7,000 DP until the end of the turn. And then when Digivolving, when attacking, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 4,000 DP or less. So you essentially have 11,000 DP worth of range on this deletion effect, which is pretty good. You can get rid of basically every level 5 and some of the weaker level 6s. Unfortunately, like I've said before, the red yellow DNA deck just has never really had the support it needs to be its own standalone deck. Sylphimon on its own, like, it's not a bad card, but it's not enough to carry this deck. I'm gonna give it a 2. It's okay. Moving on to Valk Ace. So this is supposed to be the payoff for the red yellow DNA deck, but because it's an ace card and you can digivolve it over any red or yellow level 5, you end up seeing this card in pretty much any other yellow deck. Specifically yellow. Red has better top end cards you can play around with, but yellow, this card is crazy. So obviously you have the counter blast digivolve like all ace cards. On play, when digivolving, all your opponent's Digimon get minus 5,000 DP for the turn. And then all turns, when a card is removed from a security stack, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 8,000 DP or less. So that's 13,000 DP worth of range on this deletion effect, which is really good. Really good. You're popping pretty much every unboosted level 6 in the game with this effect. And you are also popping every level 5 and below. So this is a crazy card, especially in the early game for tempo purposes. If you have a yellow level 5 out turn 2, it's very unlikely your opponent's going to be able to actually swing at you if you're threatening Valkyrie Ace. And the second part of that effect is that if you didn't delete a Digimon with the effect, you get security +1 instead. So you can get chips in with this card. It's pretty small, 12k, so I don't think realistically you want to be swinging too much with this card unless you kind of have to, but it's an option. It has an aggressive angle. I think Valkyrie Ace gets a 3. This is a very, very good card. It's not the best card in the set, but it's super good. You will be seeing this card in decks that run yellow level 5s, 100%. Goldramon X. So Digivolves over Goldramon for 2 cost. Otherwise, Digivolves over a red or yellow level 5 for 5 memory. When Digivolving, when attacking, you may use 1 God Flame or 1 option card with the 4 Great Dragons trait from your hand without paying the cost. So I have played around / messed around with the 4 Great Dragons deck in my time. It's not a good deck at all whatsoever, but having the ability to play the 4 Great Dragons option for free while attacking is a very good effect that will help the deck out a lot. And there's also the old Goldramon from last set, which plays out the 2 tokens. So you'll actually have 2 good Goldramons to go on top of, plus this Goldramon X, plus the recycling effect from the Trial of the 4 Great Dragons option. So there's something there. It probably just bumps up 4 Great Dragons from straight up bulk to like a actual like clown bin deck, but at least it's not bulk anymore. You can throw it together. All turns, this Digimon gains all the effects of Goldramon and this Digimon's Digivolution cards. So I think specifically this is cool for the last set Goldramon that plays out the 2 tokens, and then at the end of the turn they bounce back and you recover or something like that. I forget, but realistically this card is not seeing any play in competitive, so it's a 2 just because it's cool. Otherwise it would be a 1. Moving on to Phoenix X. So this is the payoff for the bird deck finally. It's been 3 sets of bird support and they're finally getting their payoff card, and I think this card is exactly what this deck needed. So when Digivolving, you blitz, and then your turn, while Phoenix or X Antibody is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, add end of attack to all of this Digimon's on deletion effects. Huge, 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 huge. So all your inheritables in the bird deck have on deletion. So suddenly they turn into end of attack effects. And also Phoenix X has its own on deletion effect, which is you can play a red Digimon card with Avian, Bird, Beast, Animal, Sovereign in its traits and with 11,000 DP or less from your hand without paying the cost. And then delete one of your opponent's Digimon with DP less than or equal to the DP of the Digimon played by this effect. So basically you can Phoenix X swing. If you live, you play out another Phoenixmon since they're like 11,000 DP, and then you can kind of go from there. Or even if you do die, you still proc it because it's an on deletion effect, so you get to float regardless. I think this is a super crazy card for the bird deck. The question is the bird deck itself actually going to be viable? I think probably not, unfortunately, just because blue is still going to be a real color. There's still going to be a lot of blue players. Mirage is still a very, very, very real deck that actually got more support in the set. So just based on that fact alone, I think Birds is going to get gate kept out of the meta. I do think Phoenixmon is a good card though. I'm going to give it a 3. All right, moving on to blue cards. So this is the Patamon that is support for the Angelomon and Kilomon DNA deck. It has start of main and on play. If it's your turn, one of your Digimon may Digivolve into a level 4 Digimon card with the Angel or free trait from your hand, with the Digivolution cost reduced by 1. You only play this Patamon if you are specifically building the Patamon Armadillomon DNA deck, and unfortunately that deck right now has very, very little synergy because some of the older Patamons that were like from BT8 that were supposed to be for the old Shakomon DNA deck are locked into blue, and with the new Armadillo and Patamon cards, they're moving towards yellow black. So now you're playing with like yellow, black, and sometimes blue, and that sometimes blue makes it so that sometimes you don't have the right colors you need on your board, which makes it very, very awkward. So I think I'm gonna give all of these cards for the Patamon and Kilomon DNA deck, I'm going to give a 1, with the exception of one of the cards for the deck, which I think is insane. And we will get there. Well, 2 of the cards. 2 of the cards are decent. The problem is the rest of the deck that's supposed to support those 2 cards is not good. So we'll move on. Vmon Digivolves over purple or green level 2 for 1. Or a Demi Vmon for 0 cost. So this is interesting because this is kind of leaning into some potential virus Imperial shenanigans. I don't know if there's the promo Minomon that's purple that I think actually makes that angle of the deck viable, but it's not out yet and it won't be out for a while. So we'll just talk about this Vmon as it is. So your turn, once per turn, it has the same effect as the Hawkmon. When one of your other Digimon is played or Digivolved, so that Digimon is green or has the free trait, gain 1 memory. Good extender type Digimon, especially with the Davis Ken that lets you play Vmon for free. You can play this out, Digivolve your other stack, gain a memory off this Vmon, and then go from there. Inheritable, your turn, this Digimon gets plus 2,000. Actually really good. I know some people think that Imperial doesn't need DP boosts because it has jamming, but in this meta specifically, DP boost is huge because you have to actually swing over Digimon in this meta. So having the plus 2,000 is really good. The problem with this Vmon is that you're competing with all the other Vmons in the game, and a lot of them are super good. So you're kind of competing for space with yourself with this card. I still think it's worth a look. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 4. Moving on to X Vmon. Digivolve over purple or green level 3 for 3 memory, or a Vmon for 2. I guess in theory, in the actual Imperial deck, you can Digivolve this over Wormmon for 3, but that's not so good because the other XVs Digivolve over Wormmon for 2. So the reason you would play this card is because it has Raid. So the Raid is super good, especially if you combine it with the Vmon plus 2,000 inheritable and the Demi Vmon Egg plus 1,000. You become 7,000 DP, which helps you hit over pretty much every level 4, which makes this a crazy turn 1 tempo card. If you make XV in the back, they can't play a searcher up front, or you'll just donk it for free. Super good. On play, when Digivolving, one of your Digimon can't be deleted in battle until the end of your opponent's turn. Also a really good effect, especially when you consider partition. So if you partition and you bring out this XV, then you can either use it on itself, use it on something else, and then that way you can kind of guarantee a follow-up play next turn because you have one of your Digimon that can't die in battle. I think this card is really good, but once again, you have the issue where it's competing for space with the other XVmons, namely the ones that gain you memory when you DNA. So I think I'm going to give this card a 2. It's good. It's good in the situations it comes up, especially early game, like I said, but overall, I don't think you're going to be seeing too much of this one. Angemon, so Digivolves over Black or Yellow, level 3 for 3, or Patamon for 2, has blocker, unplay when Digivolving, unsuspend one of your level 4 lower Digimon, inheritable when attacking, trash top Digivolution card of one of your opponent's Digimon. Like I said before about the Ankylamon Angemon DNA deck, all the cards are trash except for 2 of them, and this is one of the trash cards. Gaugamon, this card is nuts. This is going to be the first 4 I'm going to give. I'm just going to tell you guys that straight up. So Digivolve for over a blue level 3 for 2 memory, so standard. Or you can Digivolve over any Nightclaw or Lightfang trait for cost 2. So this is also Grace Nova support, and this is very good in the Grace Nova deck. So when Digivolving, both players draw the top card of their decks. Then if your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand, or if this Digimon has 3 or more Digivolution cards, so that's the Grace Nova help support, gain 1 memory. So in Mirage and in Grace Nova, you're Digivolving into this guy for 1. In Mirage, you can then have the jamming inheritable pretty much always live between Bukomon, Betamon, and this Gaugamon. You're pretty much always going to have jamming, so the Bukomon nerf doesn't even really matter anymore. In Grace, this card basically Digivolves for 0, and in some cases can even just straight up net gain you a memory because of the between Lunamon, Sunmon, and the Ko and Sayo, the Red Tamer. You can Digivolve into this guy pretty much for free and then gain the memory off its effect, which is really helpful in that deck because when you're doing your main combo as of right now, before you go into your level 6, you're usually at 2 memory. So with this Gaugamon, it can boost you up to 3. And if you have a Tamer to back you up, you can get boosted up to 4, which means you can actually go into your level 6 without passing turn, which means that you're not as reliant on win rate anymore in order to actually make a Grace Nova. So, which is super good. This card is nutsos, super insane. This is the first 4 out of 4 card. Amazing card. Fantastic. All right, moving on to Togemogumon. Who is this? It's a Wormmon armor Digivolution. Okay. So it's a blue-green armor Digimon, so I guess it's kind of getting in on Ragemon / Legermon's niche there. Has blocker, Digivolve over Wormmon for 2. All turns, when an opponent's Digimon becomes suspended, trash the top Digivolution card of one of their Digimon. Then one of their Digimon with no Digivolution cards can't attack or block until the end of their turn. That actually seems kind of good, like just in a vacuum. The problem is I don't know if you ever actually play this card. Because in Imperial now, you don't even need to play Legermon anymore. Because before you would play it just because it was a blue-green card, so it could help you hit DNAs. But now with like the BT12, XV, and Sting that gain you memory when you DNA, you kind of can just hard slam the win that you need and then go that way. And then with the end of turn DNA effects now, like you don't have to worry about having something already on the board and then keeping turn before you DNA. So it seems like a good card, but I just don't see a world where you ever actually play this. So I'm gonna give it a 1. Mentorayamon, Digivolves over Patamon for 2, otherwise yellow or blue level 3 for 3. Armor Purge, 1 attacking, trash 1 Digivolution card of one of your opponent's Digimon. Then one of your opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards gains security attack -1. This card is trash. Divemon, so this is a Pulsemon support card. Digivolves over a level 4 blue or yellow for 3 memory, standard for level 5. Or Digivolves over a Pulsemon in text for 3. On play 1 Digivolving, if you have 3 or more security cards, unsuspend one of your Digimon. If you have 3 or fewer security cards, return one of your opponent's level 4 lower Digimon to the bottom of the deck. So if you have 3 security exactly, which is what the Pulsemon deck wants to do, you will unsuspend a Digimon and bot deck a level 4 or lower Digimon, which seems good. End of attack if this Digimon has Pulsemon in its text by trashing the top card of your security stack, unsuspend this Digimon. Again, seems good for what the Pulsemon deck is trying to do. I don't know if Pulsemon is a real deck yet. I think it's still like 1 or 2 more sets. So on its own, just reading this card, it seems good. I'm gonna give it a 2. I don't know if it's actually like played. Magna Angemon, Digivolves over an Angemon for 3. Otherwise, Digivolves over a blue or yellow level 4 for 4. So this is actually costed 1 higher than most level 5s. Let's see if it's worth it. On play, when Digivolving, play cost 6, 6000 DP. Notably, can be played by Hell Scythe, so that's good to know. If it's your turn, search your security stack. This Digimon may Digivolve into a Digimon with Angel or 3 Great Angels trait among them, with the Digivolution cost reduced by 2. Okay, so that explains why it costs 4 normally. Then shuffle your security stack. If Digivolved by this effect, you may place 1 Digimon card with Angel, Archangel, 3 Great Angels trait from your hand at the bottom of your security stack. Okay, so this is clearly vaccine support card. It definitely helps you climb. So let's say you emissary into this, and then you can use this effect to then go into level 6 in your security. So you can basically get double emissary value off just the 1 emissary. Seems good. I think straight up Angel Vaccine, I don't think we're going to be seeing that card at competitive level just because Armor Vaccine is just so much better. So I don't think you will ever actually see this card get played, but on its own it seems good. So I'll give it a 2. Moving on to Imperialdramon, the next partition DNA. So this one's partitioned with a blue level 4 and green level 4, obviously, for XV and Stingmon. Otherwise, Digivolve over a green or blue level 4 for 4. When Digivolving, suspend all your opponent's Digimon with as many or fewer Digivolution cards as this Digimon. Then, if DNA Digivolving, all of your opponent's Digimon can't unsuspend until the end of your opponent's turn. So this is actually a super good effect, because if you think about it, you're going to be DNAing. So let's say you have 1 stack that's straight from raising. So you have level 2, level 3, level 4. Then you're going to hard play your second level 4 for the DNA. So you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 cards and sources, which is going to stop most stacks. And then on top of that, you have the new Davison Ken, which is when you DNA Digivolve, you can strip 3 sources, I believe, from your opponent's Digimon. So you're pretty much guaranteed to get this it can't unsuspend effect off, which is really good defensive tool for Imperial. They didn't really have before. And then the when attacking is suspend one of your opponent's unsuspended Digimon. If this effect didn't suspend, unsuspend this Digimon. So you can multi-attack with this Imperialdramon, just like with the starter deck one. And you also get an additional suspension effect off. I think this is the new go-to Imperialdramon in my opinion. I think the starter deck one has finally been power crept out. I don't think Imperial players are going to have the need to play that old starter deck Imperial anymore. You play this one and the BT12 one. The BT12 one like source ships 3, I think. It source ships 3 from everything, which guarantees that you will be able to bot deck something with your fighter mode ace. So I think it's definitely BT16, BT12, and then you don't play the ST Imperialdramon anymore. Oh yeah, this card is a 3. 3 out of 4. Great card. Not the best, but great. Digimon Ace. This card is crazy. So blue-black, level 5 for 4 memory, or of course you can Digivolve over a Shakomon or a Zudomon for cost 3. Interesting. Counter Blast Digivolve standard. On play, when Digivolving, you de-Digivolve 2 of your opponent's Digimon. Sorry, de-Digivolve 2 one of your opponent's Digimon. So one card gets de-Digivolved twice. Then all of your opponent's Digimon with 1 or fewer Digivolution cards can't suspend until the end of their turn. And when attacking, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 1 or fewer Digivolution cards. De-Digivolve 2 Counter Blast is really good. Really good. I think this is a very super, like, really good card. What decks do we realistically see this in? That's the real question. Maybe some sort of blue hybrid type beat. I don't think Mirage ever plays this. Maybe they play it instead of the old Mirage. I don't know. What else? Black decks play this. Can play this for sure. I think you will see this probably in like a Dark Masters build. the Omni Turbo build for sure. This card goes in there. It's a good card on its own. The problem is I'm not 100% sure what decks you play this in. So I'll give it I would give it like a 2.5, but we'll round it up. We'll give him a 3. Digimon Ace. It has feature potential. This card does for sure. Imperialdramon Fighter Mode Ace. This card is insane. This card is super good. So green or blue level 5 for 5. Probably never gonna happen. Digivolve over in Dragon Mode for 2. That definitely comes up. And then you have the Blast Digivolve. On play, when Digivolving, return one of your opponent's Digimon with as many or fewer Digivolution cards than this Digimon to the bottom of the deck. This is super, super huge because, okay, so right now the Imperialdramon deck has a lot of source strip support. You're a DNA deck, so already inherently you probably have more sources than the average Digimon that's just raising out of security. So even if you just have like a Imperialdramon out, just chilling, that you fresh DNA Digivolved into, he probably has 4 sources. And then when you ace on top of him, that means your Imperial Ace has 5 sources. So you're bot decking any other standard level 6 stack that way. Huge. Really good. It makes your Imperialdramons a defensive threat just by being on the board. Like, your opponent has to think about Imperial Ace if you have just a Imperialdramon out. It is a very crazy card. And then it has the end of attack, unsuspend this Digimon. If you have Dragon Mode in your sources, return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon to the bottom of the deck. Relevant because we are going to talk about the Dragon Mode card next, which has a really cool effect. This Fighter Mode card on its own is a 4 out of 4, one of the best cards in the set. Imperial Dragon Mode, so Digivolve over a Imperialdramon or Dino B for 3, otherwise Digivolve over any green or blue level 4 level 5 for 4 memory. When Digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers can't unsuspend until the end of their turn. And then by suspending one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers, unsuspend one of your Digimon. So cool way to unsuspend yourself. It does come up in the Imperial deck, as we all know. The deck has a lot of suspend, unsuspend shenanigans. And since it only costs 3 over Imperialdramon, it's very likely you'll be able to get this off. So you can swing twice with Imperialdramon, Digivolve into Dragon Mode, unsuspend yourself, swing again. Will definitely come up. The second effect is super tricky. The first time I got by this effect, I got stomached. I don't know. All turns, when an opponent's Digimon is played or Digivolved by an effect, if you have a Tamer, this Digimon may Digivolve into Imperialdramon Fighter Mode in your hand without paying the cost. What Digivolves by effects? Training boosts. All the trainings are considered a Digivolve by effect. So if your opponent uses a training to try to climb, and you have this Dragon Mode out with your Tamer in the back, bam! Instant punish with the Fighter Mode. Crazy. Play by effects, lots of things play by effects. We know lots of things play by effects. That's why Leviamon is so good this format. So specifically the interaction with Digivolved by an effect, this Dragon Mode into the Fighter Mode is a lethal combo. Patamon Digivolves by effect. What else? Emissary Digivolve by effect. What else? In just the vaccine deck, you have the Mega Digizoid Fusion. The one once you go into Magna X, that's a Digivolve by effect. This is a crazy card. So just sitting on this can actually floodgate out a lot of unique stuff that no other cards can really stop. So this is, on its own, it's not that good of a card, but combined with the Fighter Mode Ace and that effect, it's a very, very good card. So I'll give it a 3. We will move on to yellow cards. Agumon. I think this is really just Grace Nova support. So it Digivolves over yellow, level 2 for 0. Otherwise, it Digivolves over Lightfang or Nightclaw for 0. So you can Digivolve over your Sunmon and your Moonmon. It is Dinosaur Agumon, so I guess it is probably Shine support as well somehow. On play, reveal top 3 cards of your deck. Add 1 card with the Lightfang trait and 1 card with the Nightclaw trait, or 2 colors among them to the hand. So I guess the 2 colors part, since it adds 1 card with 2 colors, so you could add Marcus or any of the Geo or Rise Grays or Shine Grays. Okay. Return the rest to the bottom of the deck. Good little searcher card. In Shine, I think this is strictly worse than the other searcher Agu they have. And then in Grace Nova, I think you probably get more value out of Ukomon in a lot of scenarios. So I think this card's like a 2. Like it's a good card. I just don't think you ever play it over any of the other cards in like the decks you would play it in. Ooh, we're like not even halfway through the set. God damn. All right, we'll start running through these. Salamon, Digivolve Observer, and Yaramon for 0, or a red or purple for 1. Start a main on play if it's your turn. One Digimon may Digivolve into a level 4 Digimon with the Holy Beast or free trait from your trash with the Digivolution cost reduced by 1. So Holy Beast is all the Gatomons, and free trait would be all your Hawkmons. So this is kind of, I guess, your bridge in between those. Inheritable, all your opponent's security Digimon get minus 2000 DP. Okay, here's the thing. With all these DNA deck rookies, if it doesn't have the end of turn DNA effect, I just don't care about it. It's a 1. Gatomon, Digivolve Salamon for 2 has barrier. I guess that's standard on Gatomons now. On play, when Digivolving, by trashing 1 card in your hand, return 1 level 6 or lower 2 colored Digimon card with red or purple from your trash to your hand. Red or purple? I just don't. Every other Gatomon is better than this, I think. Okay, Sheepmon. This is probably supposed to be Pata Armadillo support. Armadillo for 2, Armor Purge, Collision. Collision on level 4 is interesting. So if you don't know what Collision does, it's when you attack, all your opponent's Digimon gain blocker, and then they have to block with a Digimon if they're able to. So basically, you can kind of swing over things if you use it correctly. All turns, once per turn, when an attack target is switched, you may end the attack. Okay, so you can like fake a collision, I guess. So you would swing, proc collision. If your opponent blocks, you can then just choose to end the attack. So I guess you would use that if they block with something bigger than you to force them to suspend. But then I don't know where you go with the effect from that. Give this a 1. Harpymon, Digivolve over Hawkmon for 2, Armor Purge. When this Digimon checks an opponent's security, if you have 3 or more security cards, gain 1 memory. If you have 2 or fewer security cards, recovery +1. Interesting effect for sure. For sealed, this is probably pretty solid. For constructed, you probably never see it. It's a 1. Tempomon, this is another Pulsemon level 5. Play when Digivolving, if you have 3 or more security cards, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 4000 DP until the end of their turn. If you have 3 or fewer, one of your opponent's Digimon gains security attack -2 until the end of the turn. Inheritable end of attack, if you have Pulsemon in text, trash top card of security to unsuspend. It's the same inheritable as the other guy, but I think its main effect is worse. So I'll give the other guy a 3. I'll give him a 2. I'll give this guy a 1. All right. Slash Angemon, Digivolves over a black or yellow level 5 for 3. Barrier, reboot. All turns, when a card is removed from your security stack, you may unsuspend this Digimon. This seems really trash. I guess ideally you have blocker because of the Upamon egg. So you could block barrier. They swing at security again, then you unsuspend, giving you a second block. I guess is like the ideal scenario for this card. It seems bad. I'll give it a 1. Chaosmon. So DNA from level 6 yellow and level 6 black. Barrier, blocker, and partition to bring back your yellow and black level 6s. Those are a lot of strong keywords, so we got a keyword salad going on here on this Chaosmon. When Digivolving, Digivolve 3, one of your opponent's Digimon. That's really good. Then one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 8000 DP for the turn. That's really good. End of opponent's turn, trash the top card of both players' security stack. That's mid. I mean, it can be good, it could be bad. I don't think you ever get this DNA off. This seems super hard to get off. Level 7 DNAs in general are like jokes, basically. Like your whole deck has to have like an engine built around trying to get to a level 7 DNA. So if you're just kind of trying to slot this into some other deck, it's probably never going to happen. So realistically, you're just hard Digivolving this guy for 5, which is good because there's no specific effect for DNA. This just happens no matter what. Like however you Digivolve, you get this full effect. Digivolve 3 is super good, and then minus 8000 DP. You're probably killing any one stack with this effect. I don't know. I'll give it a 2. It's better than Slash, but it's not like particularly great. Moving on to green cards. Kabuterimon. On play, reveal top 4 cards of your deck, add 1 insect among them, return the rest to the bottom. Inheritable all turns plus 1000. This is a 100% standard staple in Tyrant and any other insects green deck moving forward. It's a 4. Terriermon X. Digivolve over Gummymon or Terriermon for cost 0, or any green level 2 for cost 0. When you would Digivolve into a Digimon with Gargomon or Rapidmon in its name, reduce the cost by 1. So basically, the way this works out is that the old BT8 Rapidmon only Digivolves over Terriermon for 3. So since this is Terrier X, you're going to be paying 4, but because of this effect, you reduce it back to 1. So it still costs 3. With the new Rapidmon from the starter deck, that Digivolves over Terriermon in name for 3. So you can, combined with Terrier X, it would be 2 cost total, basically. So the old Rapid would still cost 3. The new Rapid costs 2 when you're Digivolving over Terrier X. And Inheritable, you gain Piercing, which is good because when you go into Rapid X, you suspend something and swing over it. So yeah, I think this is a staple in the Bunny deck. So on its own, I just don't. I mean, it's okay. The Bunny deck is just okay. So this is a 3. Pulsemon. Digivolves over Beamon for 0. On play, reveal top 4 cards of your deck. Add 1 card with Pulsemon in its text and 1 card with Aberdeen Electronics straight among to the hand. So this is the Pulsemon Tribal Searcher card. All turns while this Digimon is Pulsemon in its deck, get plus 1000 DP. I'm sure this is a staple in that deck, but I just don't. That deck is not even done yet. I think it needs like 2 more sets for it to be done. So we'll move on. Wormmon. Start of your main on play. If it's your turn, one of your Digimon may Digivolve into a level 4 Digimon card with the insect or free trait from your trash with a cost reduced by 1. I actually think this Wormmon is good, and it's being super held back by the fact that it can only Digivolve over Minomon. Like, if this Wormmon could Digivolve over just any green egg, I think it would be very, like, super good. Like, you would even play this in Tyrant. So I think Bandai specifically kind of cock-blocked it by only letting it Digivolve over blue or red eggs or Minomon. Like, getting stuck having to be Minomon as your egg is just not good. Ugh. So I mean, you could cook something. Like, I think you do like a virus Imperial deck focusing on Wormmons and Dido Bees. I couldn't even fathom where you would start with that deck, but in theory you could, just like in my head thinking of all the cards that are in that card pool. So I'll give it a 2, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone cooks something with this deck. Stingmon, Digivolves over Wormmon for 2. Has Retaliation. On play, when Digivolving, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. So, I mean, in theory, when Digivolving, you could suspend something and then Retal into it, which is super good. Again, the problem is that in a standard Imperial deck, you're competing with the other Stingmons for spots, and I think in general you always want the Stingmons that gain you memories when you DNA. So I'll give this a 2. Like, on its own, it seems good, but again, just like the red blue XV, like you're just competing for space in those slots, so it's kind of tough to justify. Blade Kuwagamon. On play, when Digivolving, one of your Digimon gets plus 3000 DP until the end of your opponent's turn. Is an insectoid, inheritable. While this Digimon is suspended, it gains plus 1000. This is a staple in the Tyrant deck, and even on its own, it's pretty good. I'll give it a 3. Runnermon. On play, when Digivolving, so on play 4, Digivolve for 2. You have 3 or more security cards to spend when you opponent's Digimon. If you have 3 or fewer, gain a memory. Seems decent, I guess, for what the Pulsemon deck is trying to do. If you have Pulsemon in traits or in text, get plus 1000 DP. I'll give it a 2. It seems good for whatever Pulsemon is trying to do. Pissmon. This is another Pulsemon level 5. This is the green version. On play, when Digivolving, you have 3 or more security. Suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. That Digimon can't unsuspend during your opponent's next unsuspend phase. If you have 3 or fewer security cards, gain 2 memory. So basically, Digizorb, this is like the ghetto Digizorb. The old Pissmon had Digizorb -2. So basically, they're giving it to this, but Bandai hates Digizorb now, so they ghetto fight it. And end of attack, it does the same inheritable. If you have Pulsemon text, trash top card security, unsuspend 2. Metal Life Kuwagamon. On play, when Digivolving, you may suspend one Digimon, any Digimon, including your own. Definitely comes up. Then when your Digimon gets plus 3000 DP until the end of your opponent's turn, they are separate effects, so you do not have to suspend to get the boost. You can choose not to suspend and still get plus 3000. People get confused about that. Opponent's turn. When one of your opponent's Digimon attacks, you may switch the attack target to one of your suspended Digimon with the Insectoid trait. This is a staple in Tyrant. Very good card on its own. Also, 4 out of 4. Grand Kuwagamon Ace. So, Counter Blast Digivolve, of course. Digivolves over a Dino Bee or level 5 Insectoid trait for 3. I don't think you ever actually play this in a Dino Bee deck since you're probably doing more Virus Imperial type stuff. So really the Insectoid trait for 3 cost is the relevant thing here. So you're never Digivolving into Grand Kuwaga for 4. On play, when Digivolving, suspend 2 of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers. Cards suspended by this effect can't unsuspend during the next unsuspend phase. Then delete one of your opponent's suspended Tamers. This is a very good card for green specifically, which has never really had much interaction with Tamers outside of suspending them. So being able to straight up delete a Tamer is a great boon for green deck and the Insect deck in general. And the effect is when this Digimon becomes suspended, one of your Digimon gains security attack +1. So you combo this with Tyrant, do some shenanigans there, or even just on its own. In a Grandis build, like in a Grandis X build, you get back some security plus with this card. The scary part is, of course, it's an ace card, so if you die, you overflow. But in theory, it's an option. I think this card is really good. I'll give it a 3 out of 4. Achillesmon. Suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, then one of your opponent's Digimon can't unsuspend until the end of your opponent's turn. Okay. All turns, when this Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon in battle, if you have 3 or more security, trash top card opponent's security stack. If you have 3 or fewer, gain 2 memory. So ideally, you're at 3 security, you trash top card and gain 2 memory. He's really small though, 11. But I mean, I guess the Postmon Inheritable is like give you +1. So see, level 3, level 4, level 5, that's +3, so you'd be 14. That's not terrible. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a good enough payoff for whatever this deck is trying to do. Tyrant Kabu. Digivolves over a level 5 for 6 memory, or a level 6 Insectoid trait, and play cost 13 or less for cost 2. So this is pretty much every level 6 insect except for Tyrant itself qualifies for this effect. So in theory, they pretty much just made this a level 7 Digimon for bugs, but it's not like a raw level 7 for balance issues. I don't know. Okay, when Digivolving, you may play 1 Digimon card with Insectoid or Larva trait from your hand with a play cost reduced by 8. So you're basically playing all your level 5 or lowers for free. And you can even play level 6s, but you're going to be playing probably 4 memory on top. So, because most of the level 6s in the Insect deck cost 12. So, let's say you wanted to go hard Tyrant from a level 5, that costs you 6. And then you wanted to play another level 6 on top of that, that costs you 4. That's a 10 memory play, which is a lot of memory to be giving over. So, if you're trying to do Tyrant raw into Shibamon, give 10 memory over to your opponent, you're probably getting clapped back. That's not a very good play, as I've come to find out. But notably, of course, Grand Kuwaga Ace, because there's an Ace Digimon, it's play cost 7, so you can play it for free with Tyrant. So that's a very good standard go-to combo for this deck. Like I said, all of your level 5s you can play out for free or lowers. So obviously, Mega Kabu Ace, Blade Kuwaga, Metal Life Kwabuteri all give you DP boosts, which you're going to be needing in this deck. All turns, once suspended, unaffected by Digimon effects, standard new bug effect. Obviously very good. And lastly, end of your turn. Once per turn, by suspending one of your other Digimon, return one of your opponent's Digimon with DP less than or equal to the DP of Digimon suspended by this effect to the bottom of the deck. So it's just a good board control effect at the end of the turn. Sometimes it can get a little awkward. Sometimes you can't play something big enough to bot tech the thing that you want to get rid of. But I mean, if you're in that scenario, you're probably getting cooked regardless. So I mean, other than that, this is a very good effect. Tyrant Kabu is a very good card. The deck is very good. 4 out of 4. Jesus Christ, there's still over half the set left. I'm losing my voice. Okay, what time is it? All right, I'm gonna watch some hockey. So we're gonna do a 2-parter. Okay, we finish the green stuff, and then we'll do part 2 tomorrow. We'll do the rest of the set, and then I will combine them all into one YouTube video and upload that to my channel for free content. All right, laters.